everyone, my name is Jordan and today I'm going to be doing a book review on Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. This is the first book in a brand new fantasy series that came out just earlier this year. This book takes place in the Empire of Torwin and it is run or ruled by a series of guilds, and each guild specializes in sort of a different field of industry like agriculture, mining, transportation, artifice, stuff like that. And there's like 5 major guilds and then a series of minor ones as well. So the most powerful guild is the Archwin Guild. They specialize in artifice, and they are also the guild that the emperor is a part of. So their guild is the most powerful. They're the ruling guild, or the topmost guild, whatever. And artifice is sort of it's the machinery that we have in this world. A lot of things run on what's called pyrestone, but in order to fuel the pyrestone, you also need people who can do magic. They're called webwaners. So there's technology, but you need magic to make it work. So it's kind of a cool system. But the family or the guild that we follow most closely is the Hawksburg Guild. I believe they are the Guild of Transportation. It's not really talked about that much, actually. Yeah, they control transit. Hawksburg Guild does. There's a whole like summary or like definitions of like, or the whole like index, not an index, but I don't know what you'd call it, but there's tons of information about like the various different guilds and stuff like that in the front of this book, which is very useful. But anyways, so yeah, we follow the Hawksburg Guild. So we have the guild master, which is Rosamund. It's her and her husband, but her husband died when her kids were just children, so it's just her and her 3 kids. Rosamund, like I said, is the guild master, and the majority of this book she's actually in Torwin at the capital, or at the Emperor's keep or whatever, kind of helping out with stuff there, and all 3 of her children are kind of sent across the country to do various tasks. We have Corwin. He is the eldest. He's the heir to the Hawksburg Guild. He's like sent off in the military to get some military experience, and he's like sent off to the border where these this race of creatures called goat heads. I don't know if that's actually their official name or if that's just something that like humans call them, because they're sort of like humanoid creatures, but I guess they have like goat-like features or something, so they call them goat heads. But they're a very hostile species, and so it's a very dangerous place. So that's where Corwin is at. And then we also have Tyretta. She is I believe the second oldest. I want to say she's the middle child. And she is a webwaner, so she can power Pyrestone, and she is sent off to this island that they have a mining outpost on, but there are some natives that live there that are not friendly as well. There are a lot of enemies in this book. So while she is there, she gets into trouble with her cousin, who is also the heir to the Empire, and they get into some trouble there with the natives. I won't say too much, but it's very cool. And then we also have the eldest son, Fulren. He is a very talented artificer, so he works a lot with his uncle, who is the emperor. I forgot to mention that. So the emperor and Rosamund, the Hawksburg Guild guild master, are brother and sister, so they are directly related to the emperor's family. So Falarin spends a lot of time with his uncle learning artifice, spending a lot of time in that part of the country because that's what he's good at. And he ends up, while at Torwin, or at the capital, or he ends up being asked by his uncle to show this ambassador from a nearby country around. And this country is basically home to a bunch of like dark sorcerers. They do a lot of like crazy magic stuff, and they're they're not exactly enemies, but they're not exactly allies. So this ambassador is sent over to learn more, communicate, whatever. So Falarin is tasked with showing her around the city. of Torwin, and something happens, and Fallen gets accused of a crime, and he gets sent off to this other country and deals with all kinds of crazy things. So there's a lot going on. I mean, we, for the most part, only follow, like I said, Rosamund, um, Corwin, Tyretta, and Fulren, and then there's also one other character that we follow. Like I said, all the children are kind of sent off into all these different places, and they're all facing different enemies, and throughout this book I just kept thinking, like, where are their allies? Like, they're literally each sent to, like, the ends of their country, and they are surrounded by enemies. There are no allies. And then Rosamund is facing an enemy from within the Empire, and you have this other country, you've got all these, like, native people, and it's just, there's so much going on. I mean, there was literally this moment where I was just like, this is some, like, Game of Thrones type stuff, like, not in the violent sense, not in the fact that everyone's vying for the throne, but just the fact that there is so much going on, and there are literally enemies everywhere. So I ended up actually loving this book. It was really cool. I felt there was a lot of unique things in it that I haven't read in a lot of other fantasy. There is sort of this thing between magic and technology where this use of the Pyre Stone and technology is sort of rising up, and people are starting to lose faith in the religion that used to run this place. So there's the Empire used to be run by the Draconic Ministry, which is basically their religion, or the head of the religion in this world, or this country, I should say, not the world. So in this religion, they worship like 5 dragons, or worms they call them, great worms. Yeah, a lot of people have fallen out of faith with it, and they've kind of more relied on the technology. Now, obviously, you still need, like, magic to do technology, but, like, Fulren, one of his dreams is to get machines to run without the use of magic. So there's some of that going on. You know, you have the guilds kind of butting heads with the Draconic Ministry, and then, like I said, there are just enemies everywhere. I loved this. This was I think my first 5-star read for the year. I have not given many 5 stars. So I really loved this book, and I am really excited for the sequel. All 3 of the 3 Hawksburg children, they're kind of like sort of arrogant, you know. I mean, they grew up in, like, a rich setting and kind of had everything handed to them, and now they're being thrust out into the world and facing dangers they've never had to face before, and they go through tons of character development that I loved. I mean, some of them I think Falren's definitely my favorite character, whereas Tyretta and Corwin kind of were a little unlikable, but you kind of grow to like them as they experience the things that they do, and they become better for it. Yeah, I don't know. This is a fantastic series. Like I said, I would highly recommend it. Would definitely check it out. I don't know if this author has written other things. Oh, he has. I haven't heard of them, though. I'll have to check out some of his other books, because this is new, and I don't know when the next book is coming out. But, so, yeah, definitely recommend. Let me know if any of you guys have read this book or you're interested in this book. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!